We're back. We're doing it again. 3 years later. 3 good-looking fellas back on the screen, ready to talk Star Wars. Yeah.
Some things just have to be said to all the monkey lovers out there in England, down under, the States, around the world, in KoWaK. Monkey lizards make very good lovers. That's right, it's true, we're very good lovers.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody, to Monkey Lizard Interview. I am your host, Bob Rum. And I'm sorry, gentlemen, he hasn't changed one bit. He always insists. You know what he's like. He insists on being introduced first. He is a DJ, a producer, a toy and video game collector, an average jester. Some say he's an incredible lover. It's not some, Bob. It's well known now. It's well known. I'm an incredible lover. It's known throughout the systems. He is definitely the director of the Monkey Lizard Register and the leader of the Monkey Lizard Army, Salacious Rum. That's right. I'm here. I'm back by popular demand. But for this interview, I needed a co-host. Who is my co-host, Bob? Well, our special co-host is an OG YouTuber and vintage Star Wars collector. He's coming straight from the Red Army bunker. It's BOE, the Blacked Out Ewok.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me on.
Back on, BOE. We're back. We're back, aren't we?
Time flies. I couldn't believe it's 3 years ago.
Incredible. Right, who are we interviewing, Bob? Well, our special guest needs little introduction. He is a passionate vintage Star Wars collector, YouTuber, and author from across the channel, Ile-de-France. We interviewed him 3 years ago on this very channel, and just as he was releasing his fantastic book, Star Wars 1978-1985, the Kenner toy line. Now, 3 years later, we get to learn about his travels, visiting conventions, selling his book, and what life has been like for our good old friend. Please give it up for JF, Jean-Francois Rolland, aka Chronique Vintage.
Hello, guys. Yeah. Thank you for having me in the show once again.
Back. Well, we're very pleased to see you, JF.
Yeah.
I know we've been chatting on Instagram and stuff, but it's really good to see you, and good to see you keeping well.
Yeah, I'm quite all right.
And me and BOE, we're like the dream team, BOE, I reckon, aren't we? To be honest.
I think, yeah. I mean, we did that. The first you remember the interview we did years ago?
Yeah.
That format one.
I think we should do more.
Test the water. Well, actually, I was thinking because I'm coming up to my 15th anniversary.
Ooh.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Oh,
on your channel.
Good idea.
Maybe again for an hour.
All right. All right. We'll talk about that later. Very good. Good idea.
Yeah.
See, I've got two OGs. I've got two proper OGs with me today. When I first started out on YouTube, two of the channels I used to watch the most was BOE and JF as well. JF, and that's how you started, wasn't it? Tell everyone, JF, how you started, please, because there'll be some people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's summer 2021 when we did our first show all together. I was actually finishing the mock-up for the book who was supposed to be sent for printing on October 2021. So when we did that show, it was for the Kickstarter to collect the money the budget needed for printing the book. So it was like I was having school time. I went back to school to learn how to use the Adobe tools like Illustrator or Photoshop to finish the actual printing layout. And this is where we were in August 2021. In the at least it was 90% of the printing layout was ready. I was finishing the English version because the French version was almost done, and I was needing some help for doing the English text. So I was in the middle of that part, and I thought it was like everything difficult was behind me, but like collecting for 40 years, the 10 years of work, doing all the videos for the QR code for each item. It took me 3 years to do that in both language, one video in English and the video in French. So I thought like, okay, we are almost done. We can send that to the printing company and then we can go to vacation. But that was another story after that.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to find out about this journey, but let's welcome in a few of our army in, because there's a few people in to see here. We've got General Gap has come to see you. You come to find out about it. How you doing?
Hi.
Hi, Gap.
He says hashtag MLA. That's Monkey Lizard Army. He's one of our generals. Duffman's here. Hello, Duffy.
Hey, Duffman.
Hello.
Watch out for this one. Palpatine. Pod Racing Palpatine. He's our emperor. He's he struggles to control his electric.
His electric bill.
Yeah. Bow's here. Good to see you, Bow. Welcome, Bow. Lady Catherine is here as well. Thank you for coming in.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. And oh yeah, thank you very much, Gap. There's JF's channel. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. B.
Mr. B's here. Mr. B. Oh, Jumpy's here as well. Good old Jumpy. Good to see you, Jumpy. He's another general. Mr. B. Thank you, Mr. B. Right, so it started with a YouTube channel first, didn't it, JF? When did you start your YouTube channel?
On the YouTube channel started in 2017, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
This is when I was decided to actually do the QR code system after the meeting I had with the publisher, who tried to get involved with Lucasfilm and Disney as the project I'd bring to them. At the time, they find that very interesting to go on. And as Disney thought it was not that kind of thing they needed at the time, they said, okay, we cannot do a deal together. So this is how I came back to the self-publishing project and say, okay, if I'm free to do what I want, let's add those QR code. And this is how I start to open the channel, by adding some videos and step by step doing the videos, and then went back to the printing layout to make sure everything was ready for print. So this is 2017. This is the very year I start to get to the social network, try to present to showcase the project I have. So actually started in 2022, which is funny because I was driving back from work and listening to the radio and heard about the Disney took over Lucasfilm. I said, oh, and when I heard that, it popped up to my mind, said, okay, let's try to do this book I have as a dream for years. Say, okay, let's do it. So that's the very moment in my mind I said, okay, let's do it. Let's see if I have all the toys for it. And let's start to do a first print and shooting session and stuff like that. This is how it started.
And both you and BOE, you were both you were on YouTube earlier than that. I think BOE than 2000. You were like 2013, not 2009. Wow,
July the 11th. Yeah.
Wow, but you're both prolific vintage collectors, and that's where the passion came from. So
yeah.
How long have you both been collecting figures? Who's been collecting the longest, do you reckon?
I think JF has.
I started. I think it's my parents who bring me to the movie theater in October '77. That's the very month when Star Wars came out in France. And my parents saw the film first, and I thought like it might be the kind of film the kid will like. And what have they done? Because them it was spring '79, because the toy came pretty late after the movie. And my mom offered me my two first action figures. It was like R2-D2 and a Stormtrooper. So then I realized there was toys connected to my favorite movie, and you can recreate the movie with toys, because back then you have no VCR or video club back home, and don't expect to see Star Wars on TV as well.
No.
And the very first time we had Star Wars in France on TV, It was in the second channel on the January the 1st, 1987. So what was 10 years after the
we
movie
got
comes.
5 years before you then, because we got
Yeah,
in
it was
82.
crazy. You have a few, you had a few video clubs of the pay TV channel in 1985 offered the possibility to get the entire trilogy, but you need to have the channel payment. I mean the fee, and it was not broadcasting all over the country. So definitely the very first time everybody back home in France who had the possibility to see Star Wars on TV was January 1st, 1987.
Oh.
Yeah. But I had also the luck when my dad used to travel around Europe pretty often and come to the UK. And we had a few issues to get a lot of action figures back home at the time, between especially 78 to 1983, basically. And he bought me my 2 first Palitoy packaging. It was the end of, I think, before Christmas 1980. It was a Walrus Man and was Lando Calrissian and Han Solo hot outfit.
Yeah.
And so those ones were a different card back from what we had back home. They were like more squarish for issue size. For shops like General Mills, French suppliers complain about the size of the card, so they have to shrink it, and because they have too many GMFJI items, they complain not just about Star Wars, but just general things. I said, look, guys, try to shrink the packaging because it's awful. We can't add it in the store shelves. So the only possibility for them to shrink a Star Wars packaging was the action figures, because large figures you could not do it. Spaceships, not even possible. It was it was the size was already the limit. So the only packaging they could shrink was the actual action figures packaging,
which they did in the square cards. I mean, I saw Star Wars February 78, and then the figures came out around 78, around, I don't know, May. The first one I got was the Palitoy Han Solo, small head. So that was the first figure I ever got.
See, I was Return of the Jedi was the first. Actually, we had a VHS tape that we recorded Star Wars off the TV on, and you remember when you had to write the name of and you used to Tipex over an old tape, and I must have watched that Star Wars VHS 200 times, and really bad quality, but yeah, it was always Return of the Jedi for me. When did Return of the Jedi come out then in France?
It was October 1983. And it was a great time because that was the very first year we had the toys and the movie in the very same time. The first 17 action figures for Return of the Jedi were actually in the very same time on the store shelves. And that was for us amazing because we never had that chance before. And also it was the very year when the Millennium Falcon finally get in mass production in France. And as we all know, it was for the European market, it was built in the UK. And we were expecting that for a very long time because the very first time actually Meccano talk about the Millennium Falcon was January 1980. But then there was a change in management during the year 1980 when Meccano became Miro Meccano. Those two companies merged. And then there was a new board who didn't believe in Star Wars. So what they show on January 1980 was almost canceled, and you can actually see it in special Meccano catalog for retail store suppliers. You can see all the actual brand new items. They were never imported. So when we finally see that in store shelf, was like some things of the Empire Strikes Back we were expecting. They were actually came in the very same time as Return of the Jedi. So it was like a massive Christmas time that year.
Yeah. We got the Falcon. I mean, I got mine Christmas 81. So I've still got that.
So I had the Falcon at Christmas. I think I was really spoiled one year because I had the Falcon and I had the Battle Damage X-Wing. Now I can't remember what year that was, but that was one hell of a Christmas. And I think I had half a dozen cards as well, figures on card,
Wow.
and then for me it was going to the shops with my mum on a Saturday, and she'd give me a couple of quid to go into Woolworths, and I was allowed to buy a figure and a pick a mix of sweets.
Yeah.
And I would take hours trying to pick which figure I wanted. So,
but those were wonderful hours, I guess.
yes.
So.
You still remember that?
Yeah. So where would you have bought figures from in France? What were these? Same as us? Was it in department stores or toy shops or
both?
what?
Actually, I had a toy shop not too far from my school place, so I was going there probably three or four times a month to see what's new was around, and we have tons of Jawas for years.
Yeah.
And we could not. I mean, when we asked for a Greedo or a Art 5D4, for example, it was very scuffed. They never had it. Actually, they were ordered it, but they never had it. And to get back just a second for the Millennium Falcon, I was lucky enough to get my friend of my parents who was living in Brussels, and they sent actually for my birthday, for my 10th birthday in February 1981. They came with the Millennium Falcon with the Palitoy boxes. So It was for me the best, because I have that as in mind. For me, England was a wonderful toyland, because all we could not get in France, it was impossible to get it in England. So when I see a Palitoy package, was a wonderful, was Kenner as well. And it is probably why I wanted to work on Kenner as because those packaging was, to me, the freedom to get the toys I always wanted. Probably. Yeah. And the retail store and this mini toy shop next to my school place was also a wonderful place. Like you said, you can spend hours trying to figure out maybe, Jawas already have one, but sometimes you can get a Chewbacca or that kind. This is where I get my Palitoy Death Star with the French Meccano packaging for. It was my grandparents actually who offered me that for Christmas 1980, and that was a hell of a toy, because it's probably, with the Millennium Falcon, the two toys I play the most. I mean, I can't even count how many times I destroyed the Death Star. What was so cool time, wonderful time.
That's one hell of a piece. Yeah, that's one hell of a piece now, that the Palitoy Death Star. Yeah, those logos, it's funny how those logos have such a visceral effect on us. The Palitoy logo and also the Keno logo. They just look, that's why they put them now. That's why Hasbro reused them, isn't it? Because we're not interested in the Hasbro logo. We want those old logos back. Yeah, that's crazy. So do you still have your original collection, both of you, or was it all recollected later on?
It's a bit of both, actually, because I stopped collecting when the teenage time, when I was around 14, 15. So it was back in 1986. My last action figures I bought as a kid, basically, was summer 1986 in the south of France. It was actually it was two figures. It was the Imperial Dignitary and Yak Face. I found that to a bookstore, because they have this habit to have half toys and they sell newspaper, magazines, and books all together, and they have a toys department on the first floor or next to it. Usually they mixed both of them. So for kids it was cool, because you can have your kids magazine and the toys in the same time. So it was also funny to get that. And they have those two figures, and I say, I haven't got those ones. So that was my last two figures. And then, for some probably frustrated reason, I start to reopen my my toy collection in 1981. 1989. Sorry.
Yeah.
As a grown-up, and I was an adult already. And when I start to do my first work as a grown-up, this is how I can get money. And I was get back to my store as a child. Sorry. Toy shop as a child, but most of them disappeared. They were gone, and a few left. They have nothing, just a couple of Ewoks or Ewok Catapult Assault, those kind of toys. So they were all Return of the Jedi. Sometimes they were like Kenner packaging with a Meccano stickers on it. in French. So these one were not much of interest for me. I was looking for Empire Strikes Back or Star Wars stuff. So I started to write to Kenner, and Palitoy. It was actually Tonka at the time. But the answers were negative, and you have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get an answer back, because at the time you have to write by hand, send the mail to the post office, and wait a long waiting. Answers were most of them negative. And when I really start to recollect it, when I by chance, completely by chance, when I bought a model kit Star Destroyer commemorative edition, and there was a flyer to get subscription to the Lucasfilm fan club in Colorado in the States, and then I received my first issues, and I found a lot of announcement ads from Kenner's employee or people who were selling toys, and I sent back demand to have a catalog, and with those catalogs, it started to get Wonderland, because I could get all the toys I could not get as a kid, like Forlorn or a Cloud Car Pilot or the Bespin God Black version. They were never released in France, so and it was my very first order, and the due back as well. They were actually the 4th first item I ordered in the States, loose. But this is already how I restart to collect in a collecting business, and bought the first Steve Sansweet book in 1993, or the Space Adventure book also was my very first book of Star Wars stuff. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I sort of, my last 2 figures I bought back in the day, 84, I just turned 14. So I bought the Han Solo in Endor and the Prune Face. And those were the last 2. By then I was more into Commodore 64 video games. And so I regret not, because I even worked at Woolworths when I was 16 as well, but I never saw any Star Wars there. If I had, I think that would have piqued my interest again. Then, you know, went to only one Kenobi. I went to do university, well, Polytechnic in those days, and graduated in 92. Went to a place called Forbidden Planet. I'd heard my friends talking about going to conventions and seeing Star Wars toys, and that just stuck in my mind. And in 92, after I'd graduated, I got my old figures out that I'd kept under my bed, and my mum never chucked away, and all the vehicles I had, and took photographs of them, and you know, just really sort of that sort of rekindled the passion for those figures. And I always liked them, and I always had fond memories of them and playing with them as a child. And how, like JF says, that, you know, in those days you had no VHS, you only had 3 or 4 channels on TV, and you know, it was those toys that stimulated your imaginations, also the comics as well, and the trading cards that we got. And, you know, it was just, I was such a daydreamer that all I wanted at school, all I was thinking about was going home to play with Star Wars figures, and, you know, just having fun with them. And then I went to Forbidden Planet for the first time in 92. They had a 12-back Princess Leia on the wall, and that was it. I wanted that. It was £180. Then I went down to Portobello Road. That's where I grew up, Notting Hill Gate, and there was a comic store there, and they had a Trilogo. I think it was one of the Ewoks and the ATST driver for £3 each. I didn't even have no money, so I told my mate, give me some money so I can buy these. And that just, I started in 93 going to comic events and collecting as much figures. I made a friend. He was a dealer. He knows Jules Bart. I think he's the guy that found the 4,000 Trilogo Anakin Skywalkers, which Jules Bart talks about. So he, I bought a lot of stuff out of him in 93, 94. By 94, I had every carded figure excepting the Yak Face.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
So I went mad in that year and a half collecting the figures on card. I never collected the vehicles or anything like that. I always liked oddities. So if there was a French card or a Top Toys or a Glasslight, I'd pick that up as well. So
now Gap's asking about mailaways, whether you had mailaways in France.
Very few, actually. The very first mail away we had was back in 1978, when we had to cut out the left-hand side of the card where we have the numbers on it, but it was to get non-action figures, was to get the display equal to the early bird and it was in French, La Guerre des Étoiles, instead of Star Wars logo. That was the very first one we had. Then we had, I think, in terms of mail away, action figures mail away, we had some in 1983 regarding a sweepstake where we have to finish a storytelling. Like we had half of a story, and you have to finish by sketching yourself. And it was like I think it was all over Europe, because I found the same in English, Dutch, German, and French. And I was just before Return of the Jedi released in most of the European countries. And then you can receive a Nunuk figures.
Yeah.
And that was the only one. We didn't have much mail away offer instead of this one. And I'm not even sure if it came with a white mailbox. I'm not even sure that. No, we have very, very few offers. The thing is, we have a massive amount of action figures and playsets and vehicles when Return of the Jedi left the movie theater. 84, 85, 86, you have Star Wars figures and toys all around the supermarkets and retail stores. But it was a time of Master of the Universe, Terminators, and those kind of things, you know. So people didn't buy Star Wars thing. And that Christmas 1987, you have a few shops in Paris where they got it for very cheap money, and you can have it like for 50p or something like that, each figures, you know, and that was just crazy. But not much people knew about that, and also the interest was so low. It was like some of them probably went to the bin, you know. That's very sad to say that today, but that's the story of the Star Wars toys in France. Was you never had such a choice when the film was not in the theater, actually. That was silly.
So you both built up pretty large collections pretty early on, really, and were able to buy a lot of the figures, you know, when they were reasonably priced. And I think you both I started watching YouTube and started watching both your channels because you were both posting videos of your collections. So what made you both start to do that? You're very different channels and you did it in a different way, but you were both essentially documenting and doing photography and small videos of your things that were in your collection. So what made you both start to do that?
Well, I started to add the videos because of the book. That was the first target. I really wanted to make some video description would be connected with the book for people at the time in the near future when the book will be finished. With their phone, they can use the camera, scan the QR code, and have extra information from the book. That's what I wanted to do, basically, because with the book, you can have the traditional way to have information, but with the video, you can have the toy in movement to get more scale into description with small items missing that I can photograph easily with a video camera instead of the photo camera. And that way, I thought it would be helpful for collectors on the web who can find the toys loose without packaging seal. Probably there's some missing part or spare parts missing. And I thought, like, okay, have a full description of the actual item would be helpful for collectors or even people who wants to know more about the story of the toys. That was my target when I started to add videos.
With me, it was in the mid-90s, all the new stuff came out, the Power of the Force 2, all that sort of stuff. So I was always collecting that. And so when I got a new laptop in 2009, I wanted to do two things, which was to probably go on eBay and collect more vintage Star Wars to fill in the gaps and improve my collection. Because in 93, 94, I more or less just collected just one carded example, and not always were they in the best condition. And then So I just wanted to go make videos about it. Or in my early videos, I tended to just use music and just show the item. And then over the years, I started to talk about things more and just say what's significant about this card back, if I know any history or any of the variants. And then, you know, more recently, I started to collect loose variants and all the figure variants, like the Spanish figures, the Nokus, all that sort of stuff, paint variants between certain figures. And as over the years, you build up a sort of reservoir of knowledge and become quite adept at sharing that knowledge with other people and influencing others. And if I guess I'm known for that sort of stuff, that I know a lot about vintage Star Wars, as obviously JF does as well, and action figure grader. And so I like to share my knowledge. You know, it's recently I just bought the Galoob Data from 1988. That book, the Star Wars to Star Trek book that you got, and I got the 3rd edition of that talked about that Data figure, because obviously you look at the Star Wars stuff, you'd also look at the Star Trek stuff, and that finally in 2024 I picked up the Data variants, 5 of them, all the paint variants in one go, the blue face, the, you know, all that, the dark speckled face, all that sort of stuff, instant collection. And so I haven't done a dedicated video to that yet, but I want to, and just, you know, because there's not really much about it on YouTube. That figure has so many variants, and it was only issued in 1988, so it's interesting to me. I make videos for myself ultimately, because, you know, it's a way of recording what you've collected over the years. It's that sort of resource in a way.
I think you've both got a lot to answer for, to be honest. You've both been responsible for a lot of middle-aged men spending a lot of money on plastic toys and books. The pair of you. A lot to answer for. Now, I want to find out about how you've then transitioned from YouTube, how you went about, how one goes about making a book. But before that, there are a few questions and a couple of people that have popped in. So I just want to say hello to Only One. Another channel that was influential to me early on.
Hi, Only One.
Hey.
And then also your Muslim uncle. I think that's so. And Ghost says he loves his book. Ghost was an original backer as well.
Thank you. Thank you again.
What was the carbon freezing chamber in your video? That's the first question that someone's thrown at you. On your website, there's a carbon freezing chamber.
That's the one from Boba Fett's vehicle, the spaceship.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. And then Gap asked, do you both have the vinyl cape Jawa?
Nope. I flushed one down the toilet.
What?
It was my sister's.
What?
Oh, boy.
My sister had one, and as a child, she could, obviously in my mind, a girl can't have Star Wars figures, so I flushed it down the toilet.
Yeah, very, very good.
I never had it as a kid. As a child, I had my first one as a carded figure back in year 2001. I bought it from a Kenner employee,
Wow.
which has cost me a lot of money. So as we said back home, and then I have to eat a lot of pasta for
cereal
and cereal. So it did a payment plan. So, but that is how I get my very first vinyl cape. And for the book reason, I really wanted to have one as a loose figure. So I bought a loose vinyl cape figure back in 2013, I guess, in France. Yeah. And that way I could have what I wanted for the book, one in carded figures and one loose figure.
Very good, very good. And Gap is also asking, which might be linked to that, what is your most prized Star Wars action figure?
There must be a few. The Jawa vinyl cape for sure is one of them. And then you have the Yak face, Power of the Force, Canadian Power of the Force Minton card figure. And what else? Probably less prices, but the Blue Snaggletooth. I have both one loose and one seal baggy from the from the actual Cantina set. which is in the book as well.
Yeah.
There's a few more figures, a Star Wars packaging figure, the small head Han Solo, I guess Darth Vader, Luke, and Ben. I don't have the double telescopic ones, so that for sure. And today it's out of my range.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even without graded the acrylic case, it's not affordable for me. And a few. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably Anakin Skywalker, of course, the Power of the Force one. And there's 4 or 5 very expensive figures in my collection today.
Yeah. For me, I'd say originally my favorite 3 figures were the original Farm by Luke, the Princess Leia on the 12 back, and I've got her on the Meccano card, and the Harbert 12 back, and a nice Kenner example. The Han small head on the 12 back Kenner. I've got quite a few Hans. That's one of my favorites. The Luke Farm Boy. I've got him on the Takahara 12 back. Glaslite. I like foreign cards. I've got a Meccano Yoda on with a really long blister on the Return of the Jedi card. So I think that's from the 86. So I like the foreign cards. I don't mind the General Mills cards. Samples. I've got a Gamorrean Guard on a 2-1B card, Empire Strikes Back. So that's a carded sample. I've got the Medane on a Empire Strikes Back Luke Hoth card. So that's another sample. Those 2 are cards I wouldn't have thought I'd ever get in the UK, but I bought them both in the UK off eBay. So, and it's stuff, pre-production stuff you wouldn't expect to get your hands on over here. And 3 revenge proof cards, so yeah, they're quite nice. I know you've got quite a few, so yeah, I mean, I'd have to look through my photos and just think which ones are but my favorite 3 characters are Luke, original, Leia, and Han.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So then, JF, you've got this fantastic collection. You've plotted out the unique selling point of your book, which it very much is. There are some good collecting books out there, and I'm a bit of a collector of them. I know BOE is as well. Your book has the QR code. It links to the videos. It's an amazing book.
Yeah.
How did you go about making it? What was, for people out there, I would have no idea where to begin. So can you tell us a little bit about the journey now, about going from the channel to the book, to then launching the book on Kickstarter? What was that like? And then since then, you've just been going around the world to conventions and things. What is life like now as a as an author as well as a collector and a YouTuber?
Yeah, as an author, it was quite a privilege to see your first book arrive, and I will be always remember that the first palette was delivered to my place.
Yeah,
I asked my wife to film that very moment because I really wanted to keep as a record, because it was such a long journey. It was like 10 years, because when they came for the first time at my place, ready for touching the book physically, was April 2022. From the first thought was the end of 2012. So it was definitely
10 years.
Yeah.
So from the time to figure out which kind of things you want to show was like the Kenner one, year by year, because chronologically this is what I wanted to show. This was the beginning to get the basement. Basically, to build a house, you need to get the basement, the foundation, and that was the main idea, to really display what was produced year by year until 1985, when Kenner stopped the Kenner toy line. So then writing, making the picture, the Kickstarter, and went back to school to learn the tools to make the book layout by yourself. That was the journey. So when having the book in your hands, say, oh my God, this is it. And now you can send the book to people. But like you said before that, it was initially supposed to be ready for Christmas 2021. And the printing company back then had a few issues with the paper pulp, the raw material, and definitely my project was not the highest one they have to print. So I was always put in delay back and back. And every week from October, when definitely October 2021 was the time when the printing layout was ready to go. And they always have an issue. They always have something wrong. They said, we can't do it for whatever. There's something wrong happening. And so Christmas 2021, no one could get delivered. I was expected. And it was a very sad moment at the end of January 2022 when nothing was done yet. And I have a bit of a, let's say, argument with the boss. Said, look, guys, why is it delayed all the time? And where is my book, basically? Because I have people behind me that support me during the Kickstarter, and now they are a bit fed up to wait. They want their book, basically. And they told me, look, we have done nothing, and if you want, we can pay you back. And we stopped the whole project just like that.
Wow.
I said, what? I said, do you really believe I'm going to tell people who follow me now since 2017, who support me and gave me money, they will not have no book and I will have to pay them back? And also, they were asking me more money because they realized there's a few production issues. They never thought about it, or they thought like it was okay, we can afford it. Like, for example, between the two versions, the French and the English one, they can just like swap the text. But they realized it was not possible to do it. At the very moment, they start to figure out how to do the job. So then they ask you like an extra 5,000. Say, sorry, where do you think I'm going to get the money? You got to pay us or we don't do the book. Wow. Very nice. And also at the very moment when the book were ready, which was March 2022, they start to ship. And they asked me, the shipping cost was double, 50% more.
Gosh.
Why? I mean, asking people to pay like £5 it was €5 for people in France, and now it's 10. So people from America, it will be like they already pay $30. Now you want me to ask them to ask an extra $30, and in England it would be like £50. No way. So that was another extra $6,000 to pay. So I have to go to ask a mortgage to the bank to make sure, and I still pay that thing today.
Wow, so you covered those costs? Because I was going to say, I don't remember you passing the charges on to the Kickstarter.
No, I didn't want to. I said I cannot ask people. It was already like so difficult for me to manage the delayed already. I felt very very sad and very frustrated about the printing company, the way they treat me at the very end when you feel trapped. I mean,
yeah.
And there was no way for me after all those years, collecting for 40 years, making the book for 10 years. You never thought like at the very end you can face all that kind of trouble. Not even talking about the books were damaged during transportation. That's another story, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But okay, so back to January 2022, I said, okay, we carry on. I will find a way to pay it. I was out of job at the time, and but I said, I don't care. I cannot stop that. I thought about George Lucas when he had to face all these issues to create Star Wars. I said, I'm going to be like him. I'm not gonna give up, you know. Yeah. I will carry on, you know. Persistence. That's the main thing you have to keep in mind, because you get through many tornadoes, but you have to be persistent. Otherwise, project never get through. And then in April 2022, when the first books arrived, and I could send it to people, and I said, released, it's done, you know. Yeah. But that was kind of the dark side of the journey was that very moment from October 2021 to March 2022, when I have to struggle and fight with a printing company who were not on my side. They were really like, I thought they were partners, but then you realize they was fighting against you, and they have no care if the project will be released or not.
Wow, that's frightening. Absolutely frightening. And so, yeah, I mean, and you invested all that time as well, waiting for them to, you know. So
it become a job. Definitely, it become a job.
What's the advice there? And just to shop around publishers, or I mean, how would you even have known? You didn't know, did you? So
No, it was just like it was so new for me. I mean, I was just like a Rocky, It was like
yeah,
entering in a new business, and this is the dark side of the self-publishing. You're on your
yeah,
own, so if you
yeah,
don't collect the information, nobody will help you. If you go to an editor, a publisher, then all that part is completely unknown almost, or just an information for the author. But when you do self-publishing, you have to do everything from writing the book, do the publicity, to sell it at the end, and all that kind of thing. So this the entire panel of work, you do every job.
yeah, yeah. Now, you have shared with me, and I'm just going to stop sharing. This is your website, by the way, so your book still is available.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on your website, the chroniqueofvintage.com. So if you haven't got a copy of the book, you definitely need to get one.
Yes.
Every collector, we all collect toy collecting guidebooks, and JF's is definitely a very unique book. Comprehensive, fantastic photography. I've got to say that's what first attracted me to your YouTube channel. Actually, was the quality of the videos and the quality of the photography.
Thank you.
So you can still get a copy of the book, but you have been on a bit of a journey, and I've got some photos that you've shared with me, which I'm just going to share the screen now, because there has been some upsides as well. You've been on a bit of a journey, and we want to see where is that gone? Hold on a minute.
And then the book itself is, I done a summer discount of 20% right now on the second release. For those who are interested to go through my website, living in the UK, and also in America. In America, in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, there are 88 books left, sample available through USPS. That way you can have a very cheaper shipping cost, as the books are already in the States. So for people living in America, it's easier. For people living in the UK, the stock is actually today in France. And I also found last week an old cases of a damaged book, which is I done a 50% discount on those ones. And so you have a 20% discount on the brand new copies, and a 30% discount on the damaged one on my website right now.
That's great.
Oh, yes. That was a hell of a convention, and I was the very first one as well. So it means a lot to me, as I spend the whole weekend in Germany with, let's say, the father toy maker, the Godfather. He had his own logo with it, with the Godfather, logo. He changed it as a toy father, with an X-wing.
So not everyone is going to know who this is. So who is this, JF?
He's the one we can thank, and millions of kids around the world can thank him, because he's the one who make it possible between Kenner and Lucasfilm and the Fox at the time. So he just like us, because he loves George Lucas' work, and the reason why Kenner got access to Star Wars is because Jim, who was a designer at Kenner in the in a design office where they do research for everything new for the years after. He saw on Starlog magazine from November 1976, I think, an article, very small one, a few phrases, a few sentences about the new science fiction movie from George Lucas. And he loved THX 1138, and he thought like, oh, if George Lucas doing a new science fiction movie, that would be interesting to get some information about. So he went back to see his boss, who was Dave Okoda at the time, and he said, look, can we get a press book about that film? Because I would like to know more about it. I'm curious about it. So he got that in February 77, I guess. He read the press book. He loved the thing. He only had a few black and white picture. And he asked his boss, look, can we get in touch with those guys in Los Angeles? Because definitely there's something in there. I really like it. He really fell in love with Star Wars immediately. And those guys in Kenner was not so keen I thought like, well, what do you want to do toys for 2 hours? You know, $6 million man, that's quite all right. You know, it's running on years. You get one episode per week. That's perfect to making toys line, you know, but 2 hours, not sure. So you have basically Health Kenner was against it, but Jim was so persistent. He finally get access. They bought him a flight ticket from Cincinnati to Los Angeles. And then he met Charlie Pinkett, who was in charge of the Lucasfilm marketing relation at the time.
Yeah.
And they went to Universal, who was rented by Lucas, who Universal, as everybody knows, refused Star Wars. So the Star Wars on blue screen with Millennium Falcons and all that kind of part was still on at the time of the year, with Lucas struggling to get Star Wars done. But Charles was so happy to find somebody interested to making toys, because Mego, Mattel, everybody refused the project. Everyone, Hasbro, everyone.
Wow.
So I said, oh, you like it? So please take the blueprint, take the picture, try to do some mock-ups for us, and that's it. He went back to Cincinnati, start to do some kit bash with the infamous little people to get this the 10 centimeters 3.25 scale. And he went back to Los Angeles, and they signed an agreement between Fox, Lucasfilm, and Kenner. It was March 77. And then they start to work very slowly on the project, because at the time, Kenner was focused on Christmas 77 with $6 Million Man and other series, because everything was done. As the logic of the toy industry is, every big contract is signed January, February to get all the thing done for the next Christmas. So having like starting new project for that Christmas was too short and impossible in terms of management of production with Asia for the figures and everything, you know. So they said, okay, maybe for 78, probably 79 would be far better to organize some toys for that. But then Jim was invited, and he was one of the 200 people who saw Star Wars finish May 1st, 1978 in San Francisco, in a theater where they make tests, you know, when they come with some kind of 200-page note, when they have to say, do you like that scene, crosshair, tag it, and everything. But everybody was so amazed when they saw the Star Destroyer coming through, and the people come out of the cinema was just like so happy. And Jim jumped on a phone booth next to the cinema place, called Cincinnati, said, guys, we have something. We really have something. And then he stayed in California for a while, went down to Los Angeles, and saw Star Wars with people in May 25th. And then he have to go back pretty fast to Cincinnati, because then everybody realized they have to do something. And they were absolutely unready for Christmas. Instead, to have the early birds and printing on cardboard, or other toys like the radio control, put on your helmet was another series. You just have to put some Star Wars stickers on it. But there was no figures of spaceships at Christmas 79. So yeah, Jim is very amazing. So being sitting next to him for 3 days, that was the first time I could see him for real. We had in touch before, because I interviewed him, and he kindly let me tell his story in the book. And because in the book you have not just the chronological release of every toy, but you also have the story of Kenner. This is what I wanted to put inside the book. And he was so nice to let me, okay, JF, no problem. You can have my interview in your book and send me a picture. And at that very convention, and for that picture especially, when people bought the book, asked me to do an autograph, when they saw Jim was next to me, they asked him to sign on the picture of my book. So it was just fantastic.
That's a great copy.
What a weekend.
And these are some of the shots of the book, and there's a couple of things that have always stood out about the book. First of all, there's the QR code that takes you directly to the video, but the pull-out photography is just phenomenal. Look at that Falcon, and that's just beautiful shot.
About 3,000 pictures done. Now 4,000 pictures done in 9 weekends, about 10-15 hours each day. So then I have to do a selection. There, inside the book, you have something more, 3,000 pictures or something. Yeah,
It's a work of passion, isn't it?
it have to be, otherwise you get crazy.
Yeah.
No, what's going on here?
Well, I'm on stage in Germany with Anthony Daniels, Jim Trengen, and your humble toy collector. So that was were when they introduced everybody from the VIP room with other British actors as well, and so they put me in, like, me with all those guys. No way. So it was like Anthony Daniel was surprised to see a French guy in Germany come to talk about a toy book. So he just explained his role with C3PO. So it was just like, I feel blessed, basically.
Yeah.
To be with those guys on stage, and it was like, wow, amazing time.
Brilliant.
That's just incredible.
Yeah.
So the book is still available. This is the front cover. And I urge you to get yourself a copy if you don't have one. It should be in every Star Wars collector's library for sure.
Definitely.
And the best place to go is still JF's website, like you said. And there is a discount available if you go on the website now. It's chroniquevintage.com. This has been one hell of a journey for you, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to ask, is there going to be a sequel?
Good question. I'm actually adding now some large figures description video, who was actually part of the early project of the book. I wanted to add a section for all the large figures because, sorry, I really love those 12-inch figures actually. And my initial project was to add them, but it was making the book too expensive. So yeah, if it will be another toy book project, I will be with large figures, mini rigs, vehicles who were the side toys from Kenner was making by the designer, was not seen in the Star Wars movie, because in the book you will have everything from the original trilogy. So having a second chapter, like another episode with 12-inch vehicles, the mini rigs vehicles and all that kind of stuff, that would be something to do. But first I have to get the money back from the selling of that book, because the second run is already something I still have to pay the mortgage for it, because when the summer 2023 I did a second run, when every book from the first run was sold out, people contact me, said, hey, I didn't have a copy, would it be possible to get one? And I said, yeah, sure. And I tried that, but this time I could not make a Kickstarter, so I have to make a mortgage with the bank, and to offer the possibility for people to get a second chance to get a copy of the book. So that's a second part of the journey today for this the 1978-85 Kenner Toy Line book. I still have copies to sell. Then I will be clean from this one. Perhaps I will go back to do a second book, hoping not will take 10 years. But
yes, you might pick a different publisher this time, maybe.
If I can, yes, I would like to. That would be easier for me.
Fantastic comment from Sean. He says, thank you for all you do for the
hi, Sean.
history. That's amazing comment. Great.
Yeah.
And I know people have got the
great
books.
Support.
Yeah, people have got the books absolutely love it. So it's been fantastic watching your journey, and I know it's not been easy. So it's important for us to support independent creators, and I know we do. The community is great at that. So
yeah, I really have to say that. Yeah, I really enjoy one of the great moment I have. It's all the supporting message I have from the community. When we start the Kickstarter, for example, in August 2021, I was amazed by the nice, lovely, kind words I received from everyone who came to support me for making it. It was just touching my heart so deeply, and I will always remember that, because you guys and others around the world, even people from Australia, from the States, Canada, from France, from Germany, have a massive support from the community. And this is what I like the most, actually. Positive thoughts, and you can see that in Star Wars community, you really have a lot of positive guys who really enjoy to support project in general, and that is something you say, okay, I did it for the good people, and I really have to thank all of them, because it will not happen without the web. To make it simple, without the web, that book will not be existing at all. Because without the support of the Kickstarter, who was the first Glinch to get the budget, because I could do, like I said, a collection, get back to school to learn how to make the book, but the printing, I could not get the first budget, and I don't have a printing machine next to me with a huge, supplier. And so I really need a budget to the first run. And so thanks to the community, because without their support, budget support, the first run will be never print, never. I will never have the possibility, because the bank refused at the time. And that was something interesting when I went back to the bank management, because in August 2021, in 10, 15 days, the money was collected. And 3 weeks before, I went to my bank asking for a mortgage. And they said, you will never get the money. I mean, no way we support your project. And mid-August, my bank manager called me back, said, how's it going? Did you get the money? I said, yeah, I've got it already. He was, what? You got the money? Yeah, I do. So
from Kickstarter.
Yeah. So long, pal. I've got it.
So, BOE, what do you think? I think there's a few people out there who would be interested in a BOE book. What do you reckon?
After this, I think, I mean, I've jotted down stuff before, and, it's always in the back of my mind, and,
I can give you advice.
I know. I'm just thinking after that. But I mean, one day maybe. I mean, but then again, there's always sharing via video as well. I mean, that's one way of, talking about stuff.
I think he's tempted.
I mean, I am, because I have written stuff down before, so it just got a bit too nebulous in a way, and a bit too daunting, just compiling every bit of written work I've done, and but I mean, one day hopefully I'll get back to it, and I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it, so it's just finding the time as well. And I think mine would be more written rather than, and with photographs, but it have to be more budget orientated, maybe, I think. So, but yeah,
I can give you a hand. I can give you the tips to not getting through the problem I had. So
after that,
I have the experience, so I can help.
Yeah.
Pod Racing Palpatine is making me laugh. He says, "I've got an idea for a book, Palpatine, My Side of the Story."
That will be an handsome book. Very good idea.
I want to thank you both for coming on. It's been a nice way to spend an hour going down, looking back through the past, about our collecting and the last few years. It's been amazing. So,
and the creation of a fabulous book, really,
amazing book,
essential. And if you haven't bought it yet, I suggest you do. So,
So thank you, JF. Thank you for being our special guest.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
It's been great. And there's JF's YouTube channel, and then head on over to his website as well and get the book.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And also, go on. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm just very pleased to spend the hour with you guys, and thank you for everybody watching this in live, and may the force be with you always.
Right. But you get to hang out with me, JF, don't you?
We do.
Yeah, I would like to come to the UK from some time. Yeah, that would be great to jump around.
Yeah, I've still got to meet Salacious. I missed him at what do you call it? Celebration.
The Star Wars celebration last year. Yeah,
I missed him. Yeah.
I want to thank you as well, BOE, for being my co-host today. And,
I'm glad to. Thanks for having me on.
And you've got a little anniversary coming up. When's that?
July the 11th. So
What is the anniversary?
15 years on YouTube.
Wow. Wow.
So,
and happy birthday.
Yeah.
We're going to do something special, aren't we, BOE?
Yep. So hopefully we'll have a live stream around 8 p.m. for an hour, just for an hour, a bit like this.
Walk down memory lane.
Yep. Hopefully we'll have a fabulous guest on as well. Only one, maybe. So that'd be brilliant. And we can talk about videos I've made in the past and stuff like that, or maybe Red Army Bunker as well. I think that might be quite a popular topic. So yeah. Very good.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Go and get your book, chronicvintage.com.
Buy the book.
And remember,
Monkey Lizards are for life. Not for spit roasting.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
We don't like it.
We don't like it, no.
Some things just have to be said. To all the monkey lovers out there in England, down under, the States, around the world, in KoWaK. Monkey